Thank you all for tuning in. The following is a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch III, coming to you live from the palatial home studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Malden, Missouri. Joining me from a more than acceptable safe social distance today is my guest, Bracha Goetz. How you doing, Bracha?
Wonderful. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you once again. And you are in the land of Israel, are you not?
Yeah, I just got here today. It's unbelievable that I'm
Wow.
doing this. Yeah, I just set up my computer and the mic and everything got set up. I just arrived. Yes, it's amazing.
Wow. Okay, great.
I left on a Monday night and I got here Thursday morning. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. You must be tired from all the travel.
I am, but I'm totally psyched to do this, you know. Also, it's keeping me up a little bit later because otherwise I want to get like on the new time zone, you know. So I said this is going to keep me
Hmm.
awake. So here I am. Yep.
Well, we won't keep you awake for too much longer, but no, this is not your first time on the show. The last time we had you on the regular show with Tony Salimi,
That's
and
right.
which was a lot of fun. That was a great episode. And when I saw you were on going to be on again, I got really excited because you're a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But well, the first question I ask now is, what are you reading?
Oh my goodness, what am I reading?
Who are you? What are you reading right now?
I'm
Are you
so
reading
not
anything?
the crazy thing you would think. No, really, you would think an author would be into reading, but I'm not. I'm not a reader. I'm
Oh
such a
wow.
no, I'm a slow reader because the minute I
Uh
start
huh.
reading something, my mind goes off in some creative direction and I forget wherever I was. So truthfully, I haven't progressed beyond picture books, which is what most of my books are. Those are my favorite books to read. Yes. Yeah. Those
That's
are
funny. Well,
really
there's nothing wrong with that. I do the same thing when I read. My mind goes wandering off. I have to pinch myself to keep focused on what I'm reading because
yeah.
right now I'm going back to school.
Oh.
So I'm reading books for school primarily. I have a book called The Mission of God, and then the other one is Transforming Mission because the class I'm working on right now is a missions class, and
Wow.
so
Wow. Wait a minute. I'm really interested.
yeah.
What are you studying to be?
Well, I'm studying to get a what's called a Master's of Divinity. The focus is in marketplace ministry, which
Wow.
the focus is to bring all of this great information into the marketplace, into business, because that's my background is business,
Oh my
and
gosh, I love this. Oh, I'm good.
so yeah.
I've got to make this about you. How did you get into this idea? No, I'm fascinated
Um,
by
a,
this,
a
you
friend
know?
of mine, a friend of
Great.
mine who used to be on the show before he moved, and named Stephen. Steve, what's Steve's last name? I don't know. I don't remember. It's Steve. Uh, he's also going to seminary, but he's going to a different school. He called me up and said, "Bill, I found this great program that the Holy Spirit says it's all about you." So I checked it out, yeah, it looked really interesting. It combines the normal Bible stuff with some business classes, and there's journalism and leadership and all sorts of great stuff.
Wonderful.
So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
Wonderful. Now I got to ask
Thank you.
you, what is God's mission?
God's mission is to spread His word around the world to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Um, you know, it's really interesting because we're starting in the Old Testament, and and talking, and it's hard to find stuff that talks about that's mission focused in the Old Testament, but it's there, and
Uh-huh.
you know. It's not as easy. Like in the New Testament, it talks about mission stuff. Going out and spreading the word all over the place. You can't help but find it. But
You,
in the Old
yeah,
Testament, we have to find in the Psalms and in Isaiah,
yeah.
and you really have to read in depth into it.
You are so right. You know why? So I call what you call the Old Testament, I call it the Hebrew Bible. Yeah, that's what we call it.
Right.
And here's the thing.
The Tanakh,
Yes, the Tanakh.
I think,
Beautiful,
is the word for it.
beautiful, beautiful. That's right. And 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 the reason why it's hard to find things in it, like what you're looking for, most people don't know this, is that it's written in code. It's not very out
Mm,
there. In other words, it's written
right.
so that you have to put a lot of effort in to get the treasures out. It's not just right
Right.
there on the surface. Some things are on the surface, but for other things you need to dig. And also, we it's written in code because it comes along with what we call the oral the oral tradition. So a lot of the things are not explained, like the Sabbath. What are you supposed to do on the Sabbath? It doesn't go into detail in the Hebrew Bible what we're supposed to be doing. And that's what the oral tradition explains in depth. So it's like, that's just one example, but there's so much about the Hebrew Bible that is not readily apparent. It's filled with depth, but you can't just get it through a surface reading of it at all. And and
Right.
there's and
Yeah.
there's ancient mystical traditions also, ancient mystical teachings, and that's called the Kabbalah. So the Kabbalah is also another part, and then there's something called Midrashim, which are stories, which also are not
Right.
found in the basic text. So there's a lot of other
Yeah.
material besides the Tanakh, which in a lot of ways is written in a coded form.
Yeah, it's really interesting to get into some of that other stuff. Some of it's kind of some of the stuff, especially in the Kabbalah, is kind of out there, and most people
Yes,
aren't prepared to read that. But
yeah,
yeah, I've heard about quite a bit of that. No, I get to write a research paper which I'm writing on Genesis 9:27. That's where
wow,
I'm getting started, which
wow,
is the blessing of Noah to Japheth, to his son Japheth, and that Japheth will dwell in the tents of Shem,
right,
and basically I'm looking at it from the point of view that means because the Gentiles are the descendants of Japheth,
right,
that we get to dwell with the Shemites or
yes,
Semites,
yes,
the descendants of Shem, the house of Israel, and
yes,
share in their blessings.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at it from that, and I've got some verses from Isaiah and Jeremiah, and yeah, and it's only going to be 10 pages, but I'm really excited
Wow.
about it because I've always really liked the blessing of Japheth's blessing, because it includes us, and it's something that most people don't look at. They're like,
Exactly.
oh, that's not a prophecy, right? That's not a prophecy. That's just a blessing, and I'll what? But
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Amazing.
But
And blessings are so powerful. So powerful. They're
yes,
this the word for blessing in Hebrew, a brecha, a blessing. Oh, that's my name too. But
Breha, Breha,
it it's
right?
a source. Yeah, it's a spring. It's a source of blessing, like a spring is. That's a brecha is a spring, and
Okay,
it's like the
good.
source of blessing. So it's amazing. Blessings are incredibly powerful. That sounds like an amazing paper that you're writing. Yeah, that's terrific.
Well,
And
thank you.
you know, you
Well,
know. Oh, go ahead,
huh.
please go.
No, no,
You
you
know
go
what?
ahead.
So what I wanted to
Ladies
say
first.
is that, yeah, okay. One thing I love sharing about is the pleasure ladder, and that is very much based on Kabbalistic teachings, ancient mystical teachings, which most people don't know about. And yet, it's what we need. We all need this information to really thrive in life. It's extremely helpful nowadays. And one of my main teachers, Rabbi Noach Weinberg, he put it in such a way that is readily understandable. It's really what changed my life and how I became a person that got over addictions and began to really enjoy life again. Yeah.
Great. That's no, it's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna just start talking about. Well, it's a great thing because it's time to start talking about you. Forget about me.
It's we're all
But
connected. We're all connected. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yep, we are indeed. Yeah, and you talk about the pleasure ladder. That's available on your website. Just so people know, it's getzbookshop.com. Goetz bookshop.com. I'll put the link in the description so people can find it. But
Thank you.
you can find the pleasure ladder there, and of course it asks for you to sign up for the newsletter, I guess, and
Exactly.
become a
E-
member.
exactly. Yes. Did you end up
Yeah,
downloading it? Do you have a copy of that chart? No.
I
Do
think
do you?
so. I
Okay,
think I
great.
downloaded it last time,
It sounds like it, but if
but
not, no. This is not it. This is just the basic 5 levels. The chart that you can download
okay.
for free, it goes into more depth, but this is so important for everybody. Like the lowest level on is 5 levels on the pleasure ladder, and they correspond to our 5 fingers. Why? We have the power to bring lasting pleasure into our lives at any moment. So it's when we recognize that, then we don't go into the addictions that we have. It's from feeling like we're not in control. We're fearful. There's a scarcity in this world. We feel like everything happens to us randomly. There's no plan involved. We feel, and we don't feel in control of our own selves as well. When we recognize that
Right.
we have an inner goodness that we can count on and that we can count and trust in this world, that it's designed for our ultimate benefit, that changes everything. So So once we recognize that, we take back the power, and we've basically, we've given the power to our fears. That's where we put our power and our energy. When we take it back, then we're able to have a much more joyful life. Yeah. So this pleasure ladder, it corresponds to our 5 fingers, but it also corresponds to the 5 levels of the human soul. We have 5 levels of the human soul, and these are the 5 levels of pleasure that correspond. So the lowest level of the soul is the part of the soul that's connected to our bodies. So when this is the part, any natural physical pleasure that we experience, and when we experience it with gratitude, it nourishes both our body and our soul. So that would be like any natural healthy food that was designed for our benefit, exercising, swimming, yoga, gardening, running, dancing. All of these things give us pleasure, and music, and being in nature, spending time in nature. All these natural pleasures, they when we experience them with gratitude, we uplift our bodies and our souls. So it's amazing. We have that power. This is also how we can overcome addictions, because with an addiction, we get stuck in a physical thing without experiencing gratitude. We're stuck there.
Yes.
And it just brings temporary comfort. In order to get lasting pleasure, then we add in the gratitude. So that's
Right.
physical pleasures, and the level above that is love. And when you think of love, you think, how could that be empowering? It's dependent on somebody else being in your life. But this understanding of love is when you focus on another's virtues. You come out of yourself and focus on another. So here you're relating to another thing, a physical thing. Here you're relating to another being. And brings even more connection, because when you're in an addiction, or when you're depressed or anxious, you feel estrangement, you feel cut off from others, you feel disconnection. So this brings you connection, even to an orange. Like, I love to talk about an orange because it's just one little thing. And oranges are like all fruit. In the beginning, they're green, when they're attached to the tree, because they're camouflaged in with the leaves until they're ready for us. And then, I'm ready, that they call to us, because they become bright and beautiful, bright colors. That's when they tell us they're ready. And so they're beautiful to look at. They smell beautiful. And then you taste them, and they're sweet and delicious. And like with an orange, the juiciness, it's kept in for months. From the peel, it's individually packaged, and the juiciness is kept in. And when you finish the orange, you're left with the seeds, which are designed to go back into the earth and become an infinite amount of trees and more oranges. It just replenishes itself. It's like the most amazing thing. Just one orange. So so
Yeah.
that's experiencing it with gratitude. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want me to? Should
Yeah.
I keep?
Gratitude is so important.
Yeah.
If you like, you can go through all of them.
Okay, here we go. So then the
But
next level
yeah.
up, each level up brings more connection. So what brings us even greater pleasure? Meaning, doing something meaningful in the world, good and meaningful. So I was on another show, and the host said that he was feeling lonely, and he ate 2 slices of pizza, and he's about to plow through the whole rest of the box by himself. And a neighbor knocks on the door. He helps his neighbor for 2 minutes. His neighbor needs help. When he comes back in, he doesn't want the pizza anymore. What happened? 2 minutes later, he filled up. He filled up doing something good and meaningful for someone else, and he put the rest of the pizza in the fridge for another day. That's how we all are. You know, we try to get lasting pleasure. We stuff our faces because it's pleasurable and we want the pleasure to keep lasting. When we realize there's an abundance of ways to bring pleasure into our lives, then we don't have to get stuck on just simply overeating or whatever other addiction we have, So this is surprising. What's more pleasurable than doing something meaningful is creativity. So, but you'll notice when you are being creative, you don't feel like sleeping or eating. You're in a zone where like time doesn't matter. It's like such a high. We get on an incredible high when we're being creative. We're putting a unique part of ourselves into the world. Like when we're doing something meaningful, we're putting ourselves out into the world, we're connecting. But when we're being creative, it's a unique part of ourselves that we're bringing out, and it's a tremendously high pleasure. So the highest pleasure of all is called transcendence. It's when we transcend our own limitations, like we make that first crack in a bad habit or an addiction. We transcend who we used to be and become even greater. And also, we are connecting to source energy, the source of all, the Almighty. And like under a starry sky at night, we feel that connection to transcendence. We know we're a part of something much greater than us. So transcendence is lifting the veils of separation, connecting with everybody and everything and source energy, becoming aware of that connection. So this is the pleasure ladder, and it shows you that there's an abundance of ways to bring pleasure into our lives at any minute. When we realize that, we can overcome that sense of scarcity that gets us stuck in depression, anxiety, addictions, whatever, because it gives us power back to bring pleasure into our lives.
Yeah. I myself, I struggle with major depression. I was diagnosed several years ago, and have made it a public thing on my journey. I learned a long time ago that gratitude is so very important. It's like a first step outside of yourself,
Exactly.
because and caring about others and interacting with them, is like the next, definitely the next step on that, because it takes you
Exactly.
outside of yourself. If you're
Exactly.
feeling lonely or sad, you need to be outside of yourself. You're getting inside yourself and just staying there, and you're stuck.
Yes.
But yeah, once you can get outside of yourself, then you find that the joy of life starts making its effect.
Exactly.
So I can definitely see that, and the ultimate, of course, on that ladder is, and you're so right. It's the ultimate expression of being outside of yourself is to be with God, is to be with the Almighty, and and transcend this life that we have.
Exactly. It's the unconditional love that we all deeply crave.
Mhm.
We like when we overeat, it's not that we're physically
Right.
hungry. Our souls are genuinely hungry. That's what I learned. In fact, that's what my memoir is now called. It's called Nourish the Soul, Filling the Emptiness Within. It's my journey. This is the only book I wrote for adults because I didn't really write it. I compiled it from my actual diaries, and then I called them journals when I got older, and letters, and I filled in missing pieces. And you could actually, like a documentary, see me slowly developing the food addictions and then healing. And it's like a person goes along with me into the depths of the pain and how embarrassing and shameful you feel when you're in an addiction, and just how awesomely wonderful it is when you heal. So, like you were saying, in depression, that's what it is too. We feel isolated. We feel alone, feeling alone. So this is the opposite of aloneness, the complete connection, and each level up, we are actually emulating that cosmic oneness that exists. We're actually emulating the Almighty more and more as we get each higher level of pleasure. From the creation of the physical world to the creation of beings and this amazing world of creativity. It's to climb the ladder, like you were saying, there's only one price to pay, and that is gratitude. There's nothing to lose because all you gain from gratitude is joy, and it's the actual secret to happiness. Gratitude is the
Yeah.
secret to happiness, and it's really, we were created just for that reason, to enjoy this world in gratitude. And we've gone really far off course, but we can come back at any moment. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Something I've encouraged people to do before is to, when you wake up in the morning, to write a gratitude list where you write down 10 things that you're thankful for.
Wow.
And it can be anything. It can even be the same things that you wrote down the day before. But by writing it down, it makes it real, and it's a great way to jumpstart the day to write down that gratitude list and look back at it and see how what you've been grateful for has changed over time, and and maybe even be able to get reminded of things that you were grateful for before that you'd forgotten about. But
Beautiful.
well, I wanted to say the new edition of Nourish the Soul is available on Getz Bookshop. Of course,
Yeah.
the GetzBookshop.com, and so you can get that there. Along with all of other Bracha's books, that's there's quite a list of them, and and also definitely head over there. The links in the description here, so you can find it really easily. But
Thank you so much.
but yeah,
Because, see,
oh, no, my pleasure.
my goal is to teach happiness skills to children as young as possible.
Mhm.
Then they don't have to
Sure.
play catch up like us. We learned along the way. But if we had gotten these skills early on in life, could you imagine? There's so much more we could
Oh yeah.
accomplish, so much more joy that we could spread. So, all of my books, what they all have in common is helping souls to shine. But to help children's souls to shine as early as possible in life, that is what I do. So, and it's also important to have a healthy body that helps your soul to shine. So, like when I was at Harvard, I was taking courses even as an undergraduate at Harvard Medical School and the School of Public Health. So I love public health. So, like, one of my books I wrote during the pandemic is Let's Stay Healthy. This book explains why, because parents were asking me, my children are like just eating junk and they are not going to sleep. and they're not exercising. So can you explain why it's important? So that's what I'm explaining. If you want your soul to shine fully, having a healthy body is super important, and children want to understand that. They love understanding why. And other books, like I have books about the prevention of abuse. Those are actually like the most popular books, which I never would have expected to happen. But children love the
Wow.
guidelines. They feel safe and secure in the world when they know better how to interact. So, like hundreds of thousands of copies of those books have been sold, and I get calls from parents that they save children's lives. So it's super important. And I even have books about
That's
swimming
amazing.
safely. Yeah, like it's really important.
Hmm.
Safety is like bottom line important, and you could build on your joy
Yeah.
from that level up. But that's important because if a child is abused or neglected, it puts a covering over the soul. So they like a soul shines so brightly, but when abuse happens or neglect, it puts a covering so you can't feel your soul shining. And so you need help to remove these layers of protection that you've put on, and you also need to nourish your soul from within. And that's what these pleasures do. This is how you bring
Right.
loving kindness back into your life through recognizing all the ways that we are being loved every single day, even through an orange. There it's like and like with love, like if a person is in prison, they could in solitary confinement, they can still focus on like what a grandmother once did for them, and they'll be uplifted emotionally and feel that warm emotional feeling of love without even being in the presence of anybody, and that can inspire them to be a better person. It's available. And an addiction is like being in prison, but the walls are made up of our thoughts. And we have the key to get out, but we don't know it. We don't realize it until we learn
Right.
the the ancient wisdom that can teach us how to get out. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hadn't thought about it until just now, but to experience joy and love. Oh, I thought about it with love before, but to experience joy and love and things like that, the positive things, you must be vulnerable
Hmm.
to pain, because you have to reach out to others, and others are
Beautiful.
really good at hurting you.
Wow.
That's just where, well, us human beings are really good at hurting each other, and so it's like we don't want to be vulnerable, but we have to be if we want to experience that joy and love in life. And I've done it plenty of times before, and I'm sure I'll do it again.
You'll do
But
what? What? Wait,
but
what
yeah,
is it? What is it that you'll do again?
make myself vulnerable and get hurt.
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes. But the more you feel empowered, then the hurt
Mhm.
doesn't go to such a level, it doesn't go to the same degree. The more
Yeah.
that we the more that we nourish ourselves with gratitude, then when we get hurt, it doesn't stab as deeply. It can actually bounce off more as we gain that
Right.
the the aura of gratitude around us. It kind of it
Cool.
helps us tremendously in not getting as wounded as before. Yes.
Right. 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 And the more of a social structure that we can build up around ourselves, of people who are positive,
Yes.
having positive people in our lives,
Yes.
that helps protect ourselves too, without becoming, without putting up shields and walls and such.
Beautiful.
Having a structure of support, will definitely help you with that.
That is a great point. And we can choose more and more positive people as we ourselves feel worthy. Because when we feel an unworthiness about us, we choose people that match that and continue to make us feel unworthy. But when we feel worthy through these gratitude experiences, pouring them in other words, pour the joy in, savor the joy, and then we feel compassion. We are giving ourselves self-compassion when we experience all these pleasures. The more we do that, the less we want to experience um, negativity, so then we don't let that negativity in as much. In fact, we become more and more open to experiencing positive experiences. And because we all have an inner critic. And like the more abusive a person's childhood was, the more severe that critic is. But we all have a critic. That voice all day long is saying, you're lacking this, you're missing this. Oh, don't be happy. Don't be happy. Now, look at this. We look for what we're lacking. And this is totally natural. And when we recognize that everybody has a voice like that in our heads and that it's natural, then we can be empowered to overcome it. So my newest book for children is called Don't Read This Book. This book, it took me,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, it took me 30 years to write this book because I had the
Oh,
idea,
wow.
I had the title, I had most of the book written, but I didn't feel it was ready for children. I said, there's something scary about it. It's not complete. And last year, I finally got the surprise ending because I didn't have this piece of wisdom yet. Here's it. The surprise ending is this. That voice inside your head that's telling you, that's trying to get you miserable all day long, that voice is also from God. God put that voice inside of us. It really doesn't want us to listen to it. See, this book was written by that voice. The voice is saying, don't read this book. I don't want you to find out my tricks because then you'll be able to overpower me and out-trick me. But at the end of the book, it tells you, the voice says, I really wanted you to read the book. I really did, because I too am a messenger from God. And the reason I exist is for you to push me off. So you gain gratitude muscles every time you push away that voice. The voice is saying, oh, but you're missing this. You're lacking that. It gets you to focus on what you're lacking. When you push it off, that's how you grow your gratitude muscles. And if children learn this early on, their whole life, they've got the tools they need to have a joyful life. And we could get it later on in life, but it's awesome to teach this to children. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, teach a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not stray from it.
Yeah, there you go. Ancient wisdom that is completely true today. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Little proverbs there.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but yeah. No, this is great. What was the first book you wrote?
I
Because
wrote a book.
we know the last book you wrote.
The first book I wrote when I just began living in Israel. I was married with little children, and I sat outside. I lived in a caravan back then, lived in a caravan, like a
Okay,
trailer. And
right.
I wrote a book when my children were playing outside, and I put it in an envelope. Oh, I didn't type it up. No computer. I put it in an envelope. I mailed it to America. And 6 weeks later, I got a letter back that my book was accepted. And I was like, whoa, this is how you write a children's book. I could do it. I was so excited. So that was the beginning. Yeah. And so it started way back then when my children were little. And now I have old grandchildren already. You know, they're like adults. So it's been a long way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that has been quite a journey. Um, what keeps you going? What inspires you to write more books?
Okay, I think Kurt Vonnegut said this. Oh, it's easy to write a book. You just cut open a vein and bleed. That's how it feels. It's coming from my inner core. When I get an idea for a book that has to be written, I feel, oh my gosh, there's no choice. I gotta write this. It's gotta be in the world. It's coming just from a desire that I want to help other souls to shine. I feel so blessed that I was able to get my soul nourished, and I want to help other people. So my books all have like really deep messages that I, I, I try to convey in a really joyful way so that children can readily absorb them. And so that's what's happened. That's my motivation. And my motivation is the feedback that I get from so many children and parents, even teenagers. They'll tell me they pick up the books when no one's looking, and they get the messages too. Yeah,
That's
so
great. That is wonderful. And of course, all these books, all these wonderful books, can be found on getsbookshop.com. The links in the description, just in case. And you can find all sorts of stuff about Bracha and her books and their workshops. And yeah, actually, I was curious about that. Let's see. Okay. That was something you did over the summer. Um,
I
do
love.
you have any more workshops planned or?
I'm going to be doing in Israel also, but I love doing on Zoom and in person. In on Zoom,
Oh,
I
great.
on Zoom I fly all over the world, just sitting right here. I go to India, to Africa, to Australia, to Europe, and I do presentations for all different ages, all kinds of people, every different religion. I love it. It's like a tremendous joy. And I think podcasts are
Dang.
like the greatest because I've met so many different kinds of people. And also, I recognize how we all share such a basic similar essence amongst us. We all down deep want the same things, and it just brings such a sense of unity. So podcasts are amazing in that way too, because um, you sit right here and you get to connect with a person anywhere in the world, which I love. Yeah.
Yep. And of course, now I'm 2 hours closer to you. So,
Yes.
because I moved 2 hours to the east. Uh,
Yes. Wonderful.
maybe one day I'll get to Israel. One of
I
these
hope
days.
so. I hope so. It's a spiritual vortex. Like people don't
Hmm.
realize Israel is in the news so much. It's a tiny, tiny
Yeah.
place. It's so small. It's smaller than the state of New Jersey. You would think it was someplace
Right.
big, but it's tiny. And it's a miracle. It's a miracle that we have this Jewish homeland because we are surrounded. The Middle East is 99.6%, and then there's this 1.4% is Israel. So how we exist surrounded by really nations that really don't want it to be a Jewish homeland is a miracle. It's totally a miracle that we're here and that we're
It is.
thriving. There's no way to explain it logically at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some of the best things in life can't be explained logically. Uh,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
you have to go to miracles,
It's true.
you know.
And
So, but
we we w- we want
mhm.
to live in peace. We want to live in peace with
Right.
all of our Arab cousins. They're our cousins, you know? But
Yeah.
we really hope that can happen and that we can all live together peacefully. Yeah.
One day peace shall come. But
Thank-
yeah, no, this has been great. You're a wonderful guest, Bracha, and I'm glad to have you. But I think we've given enough to the good people out there to for one day. Don't want to spend it all in one place. But I want to thank you again for being on the show, even though I know it's late. Um, and want to ask you, do you have any final words for the nice people?
Oh gosh. Okay. Like if you have a problem with overeating or something, identify what brings you more pleasure than eating. Let's say you're overeating something. As you're doing that, say to yourself, is it my body that's hungry or my soul? Because you will know it's not your body. Your soul wants pleasure. Give it pleasure. There's infinite amount of ways to do it. Pour in the joy. You have the power to do that.
Okay, great. And I also want to thank the nice people for tuning in, whether that's on video or audio. And I want to remind you, stay safe out there. Remember to wash your hands and watch the ending credits.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank our producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch.
I, of course, am your humble host.
I'd like to thank my special guest for today, Bracha Goetz.
Support the show if you feel so led over on patreon.com. We're known as Bald Spots Pro. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasts are offered.
Be sure to tune in next time when my special guests will be Amanda Doolin and her friend, Chad the Dad. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people.
If you or someone you know needs support now, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. That is the suicide and crisis lifeline here in the United States.